Till now we have seen these two test cases and we have executed one of them, each and every of them individually. Now we will execute both these tests in a batch. Okay, we'll do a batch run. We'll execute both the tests in a serial order, right? This can be done using a file known as testng.xml. I will take this file from another project and paste it into Eclipse under the project folder, not under the source folder. Okay, now this testng.xml file has some configurations which will tell testng and Eclipse that these are the following test cases which have to be run together, okay, in a single batch. And these test cases, there can be any number of test cases. Okay, you can have 10, 15, 20, 100, any number of test cases. Only thing is the configuration of this file should be correct. Okay, the first thing which you tell in this file is that your suite name, that is the suite name, I will name it as Yahoo. Okay, and after that you specify various test cases in the test tags. Okay, for example, my first test is Yahoo test, simple Yahoo test. Okay, and the Java file corresponding to it, under the classes tag you give the class name of the Java file, that is it is in the test package, this test package, in a file known as Yahoo test. And the second test case is Yahoo news test. Okay, so the first one I will write Yahoo mail test, second is Yahoo news test, and this is under the package test, under the file, in the file Yahoo news test. Caps lock. Make sure the spelling is same as the name of your file. This package name and the file name should be correct. It is case sensitive. And test name can be anything. You can put anything over here. That's not a problem. Okay, but in the reports the test name would be reflected as this test name in the testng reports. Okay, and the execution order, when I will tell testng that execute the tests present in testng.xml, it will start executing the tests present on the top and then at the bottom, to go from top to bottom. Alright, now I will right click on testng.xml and select the option run as testng suite. You see that I have put both the tests in the suite and I am getting the option over here, run as testng suite. This option comes because we have installed testng as a plugin inside Eclipse. Okay, now we run this. Okay, just a minute. Before that, in Yahoo news test, I will just write some SOPs. I'll write system.out.println executing Yahoo news test, and that will be before executing. Okay, and in the test annotation I will just write executing Yahoo news test. Now let's run this as a batch. I will right click on testng.xml again, run as testng suite. So what will happen, see the output. Till here the output is coming from which file? Yahoo test.java. Okay, the first line which is printed when we run it as a test suite is right click, run as testng test. Yeah. Okay, connecting to DB, open browser and all, everything. This is coming from Yahoo test over here. Connecting to DB and all, everything. Now in my before suite I will write something like this, system.out.println in the very beginning. Okay, and I will write initialize Selenium. Okay, and in the after suite I will write in the very end. Okay, destroy Selenium, something like this. Okay, now when I run it as a test-ng test, the first line which is printed is in the very beginning initialize, and in the end after the news test has also been executed, the Selenium is destroyed. So, and in the output I get that there are 3 test runs. Okay, obviously there are 3 test methods, 2 in Yahoo test, okay, and one in Yahoo news test. Okay, so this is how you run your tests in a batch. You simply have to configure it in testng.xml, and you have to use the correct annotations in your test classes. Right? Now suppose you want to skip a test. I don't want to execute the Yahoo news test. Then what's the solution for this? I'll have to delete it. Now how many tests you can delete it from testng.xml? Okay, so it will become a very difficult task if you are having 100 test cases, and suppose in the morning you have to execute 50, in the afternoon you have to execute 25, something like that. So you just cannot change your testng.xml every time. It will be a tiresome thing, right? So what you do is, in Yahoo news test, okay, in the annotation function before test, I will write throw new skip exception, and I will give the reason skipping the test because of X, any reason, some reason. Okay, and import skip exception. Right now when I run this test, testng.xml, right click, run the XML file, you see that total test runs are 3, failure 0, and 1 skip. If you look at the window in Eclipse, then it will tell you Yahoo Mail test is in green color. It has been in that there are 2 test annotation functions, both were executed, but in Yahoo News test none of the tests were executed. The color is in yellow, that means it's been skipped. If you refresh your module, if you refresh your project and go to the test output, let us see the HTML reports now. What's happening with the HTML reports? If I open up this file, then it is telling you that 1 test has been skipped, 2 have been passed. The test suite name is Yahoo. Where is this name coming from? This name is coming from the testng.xml. The reports are automatically generated in testng. You don't have to do anything. Just refresh and they'll be generated. Just run the code and they'll be generated. Right? So you click on Yahoo link and you will see that the Yahoo News test is in yellow color. That means it's been skipped. Yahoo Mail test is in green color. That means it is passed. If you click on the results of this test, you will get like this, and if you click over here, you will get the skip configuration errors, and you will see that the error is skipping the test because of some reason. This I had written in my code. Okay, so we saw how to use annotations, we saw how to run the tests in a batch, we saw how to skip the tests. Okay, this all will be used very much when we work with Selenium, when we make a framework with Selenium. Alright, now looking at the course, we have done the skipping the tests. Now we have to parameterize the tests as well. Okay, in testng you can parameterize your tests. That means you can run a single test with different sets of input data. Okay, for example, I will make a new test over here called as, suppose, Yahoo registration test, right? And in this test I have the test function @test and public void test register is the function name. This test register will register a user on Yahoo Mail. Okay, so now inside this I will be having some Selenium code which will be opening the browser and registering the user, right? It will require various parameters. It will require, suppose, username. It will require his desired password. It will require his existing email ID, then the city in which he lives in. Suppose these are the 4 parameters. I can hardcode the username, password, email and city in this test method and execute it. But in that case it will just be executed once. I need to execute it 4 to 5 times with different sets of data. That means when the test annotation function is called, when this test is executed, I want to execute this test with different times with different data, right? So what we do, we use a technique known as parameterization in this, wherein this test function will be called more than once and will be called with different sets of data. How will we do it? We use another annotation available in testng. Okay, that annotation is known as @data provider. Okay, and I will name my function as public void, suppose I will name it test data, okay, or register data. Okay, and this annotation function out here, the return type of this function is an object array, 2-dimensional object array. Okay, now how this 2-dimensional object array works, okay, we will first discuss that, then we will implement the parameterization. Okay, right, so a 2-dimensional object array looks like this. We discussed in the previous modules, right, about 2-dimensional object arrays. It looks like this. It has got rows and it has got columns. Okay, and out here what we will do is that in one row, that is, suppose this is the row, this is the first row, right? This is the 0th row, first row, second row, third row. This is the 0th column, first column, second column and third column. What we will do is that we will keep test data for one repetition in one row. Suppose I have got username, I have got password, I have got the email ID and the city in which the person lives in. Okay, so when I want to execute it, in the first row I will keep the data for the first set of execution. In the second row I will keep the data for the second set of execution. In the third set for the third set of execution. Okay, so the test method over here will be called as many times as the number of rows in this 2-dimensional object array which is returned by this function. Okay, so number of rows in this 2-dimensional object array, that is, I will create an object array first. I will write object data equals to new object. Okay, and I will specify this has got 3 rows and 4 columns. Number of rows will signify the number of times test has to be repeated. You will get this code. I will send you the link. You can log in into your account and download the code as well. Fine. And number of columns will be equal to number of parameters in data, like username, password, email, and city. These are the 4 parameters. So I will have to write 4 columns over here. Okay. Now we will assign the value to each and every row. First I will assign the value to the first row. That is data 0 0 equals to the username. I'll write user1. Alright. And 0 1 2 3. This is the first row. Okay. This is the password. I'm just taking dummy values, email 1 and city 1. Okay. So this is the first row I have finalized. This is the first set of data with which I have to execute the test. Then after that we'll write the second row. That is 1 will come over here. The column names will remain the same: user2, password2, email2 and city2. And after that the last set of data, that is in row number 3. 2, 2, 2 and 2, user3, email3 and city3. Fine. Now I will simply write in the end return data, and this is the complete implementation of data provider. That is, it's nothing but a function which returns a 2-dimensional array. Okay, the array number of rows is equal to number of times you want to repeat the test. Number of columns is the number of parameters in data. And after that, in the test method over here, I have to write that data provider for this test is equal to this register data. Okay, so data provider for this test is register data. That means this register data is actually responsible for sending me the data. Now the catch over here, I have to supply 4 input parameters in this function. Okay, I have to supply the input parameters equivalent to number of columns in this 2-dimensional data array. I have to write over here string username comma string password comma, I'll hit enter, string email string city. So the 0th element will go inside the first parameter, the first element will go inside this password, the second will go inside this one, and third will go inside this. So this is how it is mapped, and that is it. Now I will write system.out.println username plus password plus email plus city. Okay, that is it. This is the complete implementation. What will happen is that TestNG will read that fine, this test has got this data provider. It will go into the data provider. First it will call this test method with the first set of row. Then TestNG will call this test method with second test, then third test, and so on and so forth, as many times as the number of rows. So you don't have to be confused how this test method is being called. It is being called by TestNG. Only thing you need to care about is you need to give the correct syntax. You need to write this. You need to have correct number of parameters as input. Now I will run this registration test. Run as TestNG test. And you see what gets printed? And total test runs are 3, not 1, because this test has been executed 3 times with different sets of data. And this is what it is printing. It is passing it 3 times with different sets of data. If you look at the output of Eclipse window, then you see you get the sets of data over here as well. This represents that test register has been implemented 3 times with different sets of data. Alright, so this is very useful in building a framework, a data driven framework. also the keyword driven or the hybrid framework. This will be very useful in that. Okay, so I am just laying down the grounds of building an effective framework using Selenium and TestNG. We have not started with Selenium as of now. We will start with Selenium from module number 11, the WebDriver. Okay, we have also got RC over here, and IDE will be covered in module 10. IDE also supports parameterization and all, everything. There's a lot of stuff which you can do with IDE as well. Fine. So let's come back to TestNG. Okay, now I can put this test in my testng.xml and run it as batch as well. I can put it like this: test name as Yahoo registration test or a Yahoo register test, and the class is Yahoo registration test. So this will be called in the end, but it will be executed 3 times because this test has been parameterized. Okay, and now I can run everything in a batch. I can right click on testng.xml, run as testng suite. So I get this whole set of output, and in the end I am getting user1, pass1, email1 and city1 getting printed. Okay, so basically this test method is called 3 times, right? And if you look at your test reports, okay, you refresh these reports, you will have three tabs over here. On the right, on the left side, this test is skipped because I had thrown a skipped exception. In the register test, which is just a recent one, if I click on this, you will get the detailed output that the parameters in the test, these were the parameters. Okay, now if you look at this report is a little bit technical in nature. It's got some package names and all object names. It's got, like, in the result you have the skip exception word, an exception is being thrown. So this is not a very user friendly report as far as for a person who doesn't know programming language or who is not very well versed with Java language. Fine. So we will be studying about generating TestNG XSLT reports with Ant in some time. Okay, now before that, let's move to the next topic, that is how to use assertions. Sorry, I am talking about JUnit. Yeah, in TestNG, how to use assertions, how to report errors, and how to use TestNG reports, how to report the errors in TestNG reports. Okay, now let's move further. Right now, in my Yahoo test, or let's take a simple Yahoo News test. Okay, I am having some Selenium code over here. Now I want to verify something. I have a expected value, which you always have in testing, and I have an actual value. I want to compare an expected value and actual value and report in the reports, these reports over here, that the expected value and actual value do not match, the test is a failure. Okay, or what I want to do is I want to make sure that some text is present on the page. Okay, or I have to make sure that if a link is present on the page using Selenium, and if it is not present, then I have to throw an error. Okay, so in that case we use assertions. Okay, we have got an inbuilt class known as assert in TestNG. Okay, and when I write assert dot, it will give you whole lot of functions over here. One of them is assert equals expected and actual. So what you do is that you write assert equals expected value. Suppose my expected value is good. Okay, and my actual value, the actual value, who will get this actual value? Selenium will get this actual value. This actual value will be read from the application. I am right now hard coding it. I am just writing good over here. So what assert equals means that make sure that expected and the actual value are equal, only then pass the test case, otherwise fail the test case. Okay, when I run Yahoo News test, I right click on it, run as testng test. I am not running it in a suite. I run it and okay, it's getting skipped. Okay, I'll remove this line, throw new skip exception, so that it's not skipped, right? I had deliberately skipped this. Run new testng test. So it says that total 1 tests were executed, and if you look at the reports, refresh the reports. Just a minute. Okay, let's run it as a batch. 1 minute. And open up the reports. See, Yahoo Mail test is passing now. But if I give an unequal value over there, that is Yahoo News test, in that I pass good and I append X in front of it, and I run this whole sheet again, and now if I look at my reports and refresh it, see, it's reporting a failure. If you click on this, red means failure. It's showing you a comparison failure exception. Expected, actual, something like this. There's a difference in that. And click to show all stack frames. When I click here, I get the complete error message. Right? Now this is not a very technical report. You get an error message like this. It comes as a stack trace. Okay, but you have to, if you are using these reports, you have to live with it. Otherwise you can use testng XSLT reports. Okay, fine, we'll see in some time. Now this is a very simple thing. You simply use assert equals, and in the reports as well it is reported. Similarly, I'll just comment it out. I have to use assert. I can use assert true. Assert true is another one function, static function inside the inbuilt class assert in testng, and it accepts two parameters, message and some condition. This condition should evaluate to boolean. I am writing assert true. If this condition evaluates to true, that is, if I write suppose 6 greater than 1, it is true, right? Then test will pass. If this condition evaluates to false, that means condition is not satisfied, then the error message which you throw over here, which you present over here, will be present in the report and the test will fail. The test will fail and it will present this error message which you write in double quotes in the report. So when will assert true fail? It will fail when this condition evaluates to false. I can write a condition over here which will check the text present in the application with the help of Selenium. When we work in Selenium, we will write a condition here which will test the text present in the application. Similarly, you can use assert false. This is opposite of true. Out here, the error message will only be thrown if the condition evaluates to true. If the condition is false, then error message will not be thrown. Right? So I can give some condition 1 less than 9. Now this is false. Out here, no error message will be thrown. Both the assertions will be passing. When I run my test as a testng test suite and I look at my reports, now wait a minute, I did some mistake. Yeah, 1 greater than 9. See, it should be 9, greater than 9, because this is a false condition. If this is false, then only this will pass. Okay, run it again. Right, now if I refresh my reports, now it is passing, everything is passing. But if I deliberately give a condition, that is, if I deliberately write over here 6 is greater than 12, now this or 11, this is not going to be true. So when I run my test as batch, what will happen is that it will fail, and in the results it will write the, see, error message is written over here, right? This is the same message which I had written out here. Okay, so that is how you work with Yahoo News Test and using accessions, right?